Hey, what's up, treasure hunters? Found some great stuff over the past week I wanted to share with you. I have a wide variety of stuff from glass to pottery to art, all found at thrift stores like Goodwill, Salvation Army, Savers, and any other thrift stores around in the area. So I want to share those items with you and tell you what caught my eye about each item, the purchase price, and the potential profit I could possibly make off these different items. If you're interested in seeing all the treasures that I found, just keep watching. So the first thing I wanted to show you, I found this ceramic or porcelain. It's like an old lady figurine here. It's hand painted, and I got this at a Goodwill for $2.19. I definitely can tell that it's fairly old, probably in the antique range, and there is no mark on the bottom. A lot of times with the more modern or more recently made little figurines like this, is the bottom will be hollow. And this one is all filled in, but there is no mark, like I said before. And I don't know who might have made this, but again, it is hand painted and it's done pretty well. There's no damage to it, so there are no chips or cracks or anything. I'm not really sure what I would price this for, but for $2.19, I picked it up. I'm probably going to post this on one of the antique groups that I'm part of on Facebook to see if anybody can give me an idea of a possible maker or maybe like where this came from. I'm thinking it's probably European, maybe Italian or something. Who knows? I'm not exactly sure. So I'm going to get some help figuring out what company might have made this and where it came from. Then I can give you a better idea of a price. But for $2.19, I mean, either way, even if it's worthless, it really isn't a big deal. So I do think I'll be able to make some sort of profit off this. So the next piece I also found with the figurine that I just showed you. And this is also at a Goodwill. And I got this for, I think it was $4.99 or $4.69 or something, but it was under $5. It's very heavy. This is solid bronze. I wasn't even sure when I first picked this up. I had no idea what this was. I figured it was some sort of vase, just given the shape and stuff, but the bottom looked kind of different. And there's this little notch here, and it even looks like a little spring, and then there's a bar through there. So I had no clue exactly what this was, but given the weight and, you know, that it's made of bronze, I just picked it up because either way, I figured there had to have some sort of value. I posted this to an antique vintage identification group on Facebook. So I actually found that this is a monument or grave marker vase. This notch here with the two holes and this bottom, I'm not exactly sure where it would fit, but this is actually used to, you can actually like chain it down basically so it won't get stolen. And I looked up some prices and I couldn't find an older one. I have a feeling that this is a little bit more vintage, but there are reproductions of this selling on, you know, some different websites that, you know, sell different sort of funeral accessories and stuff. And they're selling these for a lot of money, actually. I mean, they were priced at, you know, around $400. So given that information, I definitely think it was worth the $4.99 price. I'm just not exactly sure how quick I could sell something like this, but I'm sure that I'll be able to make a profit in some time. So it's a pretty cool find. And obviously shipping will be, I mean, as heavy as it is, that's okay. It's not huge and it's definitely not going to get damaged. So that was a really cool and unique find, and I learned something along the way. Next item I found is this art glass vase. And when I first picked this up, I wasn't sure, just given the style. I've seen different styles like this that ended up, just being made in China or something like that. You could tell on the bottom, but this one actually is not. You can tell it's hand blown just due to the mark on the bottom here where the, pipe was when they made the vase. And then I didn't notice this until I got home, but there's actually, like, this design here is actually a flower. So these are the stems that come up, and then, there's different flowers here at the top. I don't know if you can see that because of the glare of the lights, but it's really well made. It's kind of a cool little bit of a free-form vase because it's not completely uniform or anything. But seeing that it's handmade, and also it is signed on the bottom, and it's really small and you won't be able to see given the glare and everything else. I'm pretty sure it says Abrams, and it's dated 97. So this was, I believe it was like $5.99. And anytime I find a nice piece of art glass or studio glass that is priced, around $5.99 or a little bit more, a little bit less, I usually pick it up because I'll be able to make some sort of profit. I did do a quick search and I didn't find anything, anybody with the name Abrams, but there's an art glass identification group too on Facebook that I use, and some forums and stuff. So I'll see if I can nail down the artist. But I thought it was a nice vase, and it is in white, and it's pretty simple. So it's not too colorful or crazy or anything that it's going to clash with somebody's decor. So I think I'll be able to sell this within time and make a pretty good profit. So along with that vase I just showed you, I also found this at the same Goodwill that I found the vase at. And this is just a smaller stoneware jug, but just given the style of this jug, I have seen some older, and for some reason, it's hard to tell sometimes how old these stoneware pieces are. And this looks like it might be more modern, but I've also seen on some auction sites where a stoneware jug like this with the same, kind of glaze, and even the bottom is actually really old. So I'm not even sure how old this might be or where it might have come from, but this is only like $3.39 or something. And sometimes these older stoneware pieces, depending on the style, condition, and possibly like where it came from, they can be pretty valuable. This has no markings. That really didn't clue me in on any guidance or anything like that where I could have found, a possible area that it was made. But there is a auction house that deals solely in antique stoneware. I have submitted some other things and haven't had any luck with actually finding like an antique, really valuable piece of stoneware, but I'm going to submit this anyway and see what they say about it. It does have like a pinch top a bit, 2 handles. I have seen some of this style on that site. Hopefully, if it is an antique piece and made somewhere, I could get, a decent amount of money for it, but I really don't know. But either way, given the price of like, we'll say $3.50, I'll definitely be able to make some sort of profit. I'm just really not sure how much yet. So I also found this at the same trip on Goodwill. I didn't notice this right away, which is kind of crazy, but there was actually quite a few pieces of Chinese soapstone vases and different sculptures and everything. They were priced higher than I would think they would have been priced being at a Goodwill. And I didn't get any of those. Some of them had some chips to them, and some of them, were just priced too high where I don't really know if there was that much demand to, justify how much I would have to pay for it. But then I saw this piece and, this is not a soapstone sculpture. This is actually marble or, some other kind of stone. I really liked what caught my eye about it is how the polar bear here is all polished, but then the bottom is kind of rugged and chipped like it's ice. And then, when I examined it a little bit more, this one's actually signed with the Chinese soapstone. Even if it was an antique soapstone vase or whatever, usually you never get signatures with those. And I did look them up, and there were some selling for even a couple $100, but I didn't find any that actually sold for that much. When I looked at the sold listings on eBay, they were a lot lower. But this one is signed JBA. I did a quick search, and it actually stands for Jane Botsford Armstrong. So she actually did, that's what she was kind of known for, was doing these stone sculptures of different animals. And I saw there was a fox that was actually mounted on a marble base, and it was some kind of stone, but it, was listed, like the estimated value was like $800 to $1,200 or something. I got this one was priced a little bit higher at $1,649, but given that it is initialed here and I know who the artist is, this was definitely a really good buy. I'm not exactly sure what I'll be able to get for this, but it'll definitely be once I'm able to sell it, it'll definitely be a good item and a profitable item. So the next thing that I got here is, this is, you can see here, they're all wire tied in, so they're not going to fall out, but it just, it holds fireplace tools, brush, shovel, and a poker. And obviously it's made of metal and it's shaped like a knight. I got this at a Goodwill, and it was only priced, I was extremely surprised, and the price tag's still on here. It was only $5.49. I expected this to be at least $20, just given the size. And, I don't know. It's definitely not a common thing that you'd see at a thrift store. It is made in Japan, so it's not like a super old piece or anything like that. But I did look these up online, and they were selling, $100, a couple $100 or whatever. This axe here, you can screw out. There's just a bolt down here at the base. So shipping, I could take this apart a bit, ship it for, not as much as I thought initially. And for $5.49, it's a really cool addition to, a fireplace, I would think, at least. When my wife saw this, I actually brought this home and put it on our fireplace on the brick, and she wasn't excited as I was, but I think I'll be able to definitely make a decent profit off of this. And I did post this on Instagram when I first found it, because I was kind of excited, and there were, people really kind of liked it just because it's a unique piece and adds some flair to otherwise, just normal fireplace. So pretty cool find there. This next thing I found out, it was only $3, and I got this at a Goodwill, and one that I've only been to once before. It's a little bit further away from my house. But as soon as I saw it, it definitely looks pretty old. It's just a, hanging basket, basically. There's 2 holes up here, and it was pretty dirty, and still kind of is. I wiped it off, but it does have some sort of mark here on the bottom. I don't even know. I can't even tell you what I think this says. It just looks like, I know there's an A, but looks like a bunch of lines and gibberish to me. So this is something that I'm going to have to get some help IDing. But I have sold, I did sell a larger piece like this, just a wall hanging fountain type thing for, a couple $100. And just because curiosity got the best of me, But, given the style, how it's made, and just overall, it looks old. And having this mark here, I just need to figure out what this mark is. And it could possibly be decently valuable, but I'm not sure yet. So, but I always take shots on stuff like this for, $3. It's not a big investment at all. And hopefully this will be something a little more valuable than that. So the next, I actually found 2 of these at a Goodwill, and they were actually in frames. But one of these, and they both have similar but different pictures, or, what they're displaying here. This is fabric, and they were, like I said before, were both in frames, but one of the frames, the glass was cracked, and, a piece was missing or fell out or whatever. So I just took them both out of the frames because I wanted to kind of inspect them, and they're a little bit dirty, but I think I'll be able to clean them. Not exactly sure. They have writing here, and I'm pretty sure these are both Chinese, but I'm not sure. I have no idea what they say. There's writing on both sides. I don't know if you can really see that or not, but these are, textile pieces. I don't know if, I know like on the outside, it definitely looks like a sewing machine, but I have no idea how these are made, how old they are. The frames themselves told me that they were fairly old, because when I took them out, there was Chinese, like all in Chinese, older newspaper behind the cardboard or the actual piece itself, because it did have some matting and then the newspaper and then a cardboard piece behind that. So here's the treasure I picked up at a Goodwill. It was $10.99, and it jumped right out at me just because, bald eagle stuff, for whatever reason, I like bald eagles, and they kind of jumped out at me, and I really like how this one is flying right over the waves. It's very realistic, and this is a limited edition print, and it's by Mario Fernandez. This one, there was only 220 copies. This is number 74, and it was done in 1986. I did see some of his work that, wasn't selling for a whole lot, but there were, it was a limited edition of like 1,000 or something. But seeing that the number's a little bit lower on this one at 220, I didn't find any of this exact piece online for sale, but some of his other, lower edition ones were selling in the $200 to $300 range. This is professionally framed really nicely in this looks like oak frame here. There's a little bit of scuffs along the edges and stuff, but they look like they could be run over with one of those little pen thingies that take dings out of furniture and stuff, and you wouldn't really ever be able to notice. So for an $11 purchase price, I definitely think I could at the least make $100 off this. So here's a piece of art that I got from a Savers, and it was priced at $5.99. This is obviously a really detailed cityscape of downtown Cleveland. You can see the Terminal Tower. It is a little bit older because some of the Key Bank building isn't in there. But it was done by Paul Duda, and it is hand signed here on the side. And Paul Duda, I did look him up when I first found this, and he did numerous Cleveland-based drawings like this. I thought it was a good representation of the city, very well done. I'm not really sure, I didn't really see any prices for things, so I wouldn't even really know what to price this at, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to sell it or not. I might keep it. I do have some other Cleveland art that I found, over the last couple years, and eventually I'd like to, have a wall with all that Cleveland art on there. So I'll have to decide if I want to sell this one or not, but definitely a good find for $5.99. This is another piece that I got from Savers along with the Cleveland piece, and this is a watercolor, and it's by E.F. Miller. And I like how the signature here is kind of engraved into this tree. But it's a detailed watercolor just of a kind of a forest scene. And here you can see price tag still on there. Paid $7.99 for it. Anytime I see artwork in a frame like this, like a ornate, just older frame, it always grabs my attention right away. This frame has seen better days, and there's definitely some damage there. There's a crack here and over there, but I don't know, anytime with these old ornate frames, unless, you know, was a one owner thing that, you know, you're buying at auction or something, as long as you disclose that there's some damage to the frame, it usually doesn't matter a whole lot. It's more about the artwork behind the frame. Even if person bought it just for the artwork, they can always throw the frame out. But either way, it's still pretty nice. I mean, there's just a little bit of missing pieces here and there, and I think the most noticeable damage is like up in the corner, and then obviously this part right by the frame. I looked up E.F. Miller's work, and I did find a bunch of auction results, but I wasn't able to see like what it sold for because they were subscription-based services, so I'm not really sure. They were estimated between, the ones at least I saw were estimated between like 200 was the lowest, and I think, you know, 600 was the highest. But one of the main ones that was kind of similar to this piece, I think, was priced like estimated at 200 to 400. So I don't know if I definitely won't price it as high as 400, but I'll probably start off somewhere in the middle and see what happens, and then if I'm able to sell it for that, great. If not, I have no problem knocking it down a little bit over time. So I hope you enjoyed all those treasures I found at thrift stores in the past week. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Keep an eye out for my next video, where I'm going to go into some of the sales that I made over the past week also. I'll go through each item that I sold, where I got it, what caught my eye and why I wanted to buy it, how much I got it for, and of course, the profit that I made off that item. If you want, let me know some of the treasures that you guys found when you're out there thrifting or going to garage sales or cleaning out the attic or anything like that. Let me know the cool stuff that you found. Again, I thank you guys for watching. Good luck out there treasure hunting. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.